Monday morning and it's way early in New Mexico. I have Dr. Robert Underwood with us again. Bob, I call him Bob, and he's the Chief Medical Officer of San Juan Regional Medical Center in New Mexico. He's the author of the book, The Leader's Compass for Medical Professionals. And he's also now one of the physician experts on lead physician. And he taught a specific topic. Bob, thank you so much for being on here this morning and waking up early for me when you're not a morning person.
Oh, sure. It's fine. Enjoy being on, Elsie.
Okay. So I wanted to know just a little bit, you taught our physicians on the first launch of Lead Physician just recently on how to build your leadership philosophy statement and spoke about how that really transformed your leadership and just made it easier. Can you tell us a little bit about it and share with everyone what you're going to be teaching again for the next round if you join us in January?
Sure. It's the leader's compass, and it's also a leadership philosophy. So it's kind of two terms for the same basic principle. But really, what developing a leadership philosophy is about really exploring your own ideas of what leadership really means to you. So there's multiple facets to that. The first is kind of an overarching statement, if you will, about why you do what you do, where you come from, and the principles that you're going to bring forward. And then you kind of go through and set out statements of here are the things that I expect if I'm in a leadership role. Here are the things that I expect of the team in the setting where I am a leader. And then the next part is kind of and here are the things that you can expect from me as a leader. And the final part of that is kind of and hold me accountable to these things, which I do with my team and is recommended in the book. And the book kind of walks you through the ability to write that leadership philosophy and some steps that we take along the way in order to get it right, and go through a couple of edits of it. There's it starts really with establishing what are your personal values, your values that really drive you forward, the values and which end up being virtues. So it's a kind of a multi-step pattern that I look at is your values, if they're put into action, become virtues, and your virtues repeatedly, when you are virtuous on a repeated basis, that develops your character, and character in turn is what trust is based off of, and you can't have leadership without trust. That's really the front of it, and so that's why we developed this leadership philosophy. The end part of a leadership philosophy is often the non-starters. In today's world, we say all kinds of things. I won't allow bullying is an example, and so being mean to members of the team or other members within our organization, I just won't tolerate that. And so that's kind of how the end point is, and then a statement that is kind of a all-encompassing conclusion, but it's written out. It's about 2 pages long. We like to keep it at 500 words when we talk about writing out a leadership philosophy. I have to admit that mine's probably a little bit longer than that. But I've lived with it for a long time. Literally everybody who is on any of my teams, at any level, has a copy of my leadership philosophy. Many of them have them stapled to the front of their desk cubicle area. So it's something that I do, and it's something that I live by, and it's something that I periodically ask my folks, how am I doing? Am I living up to the things that I said I would do? So, and sometimes it can be hard.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have on there is I will always support my team members moving to a higher level of responsibility or a higher level of leadership themselves. And the director of quality and patient safety at my hospital directly reports to me, and she just got promoted to another facility as a chief nursing officer. And based on my philosophy, even though I'm going to be losing a key player on my team, I support her in that because that's part of my philosophy.
I love the fact that, I've done something similar to that, Bob. But what I love about what you do that's different from me is that you actually write it out and you make it transparent to those around you in your organization. Um, how fantastic is that? I think what could be scary is you're putting it out there. Because you're putting it out there, you are accountable, right?
It does. Absolutely. It's kind of a two-way accountability. You flat out say exactly in it, here are my expectations of you. But the other half of that is here's what you guys can expect of me. And I am essentially promising, if you will, to live up to this.
Yep.
So that's really important.
Yep. I think it must be hard for some people, some of us, to even write a philosophy statement, because you have to really do some digging internally about who you are and why you're doing things, and you may not have thought of that before.
Absolutely. And I have to say that that was one of the surprises to me when I first started teaching about writing leadership philosophy is the people who were in my classes or that I was teaching, how some of them really came to me with these almost emotional explorations of where were their values and how did they really look at things. I didn't expect that at that level, but for some people, it is quite the in-depth exploration of themselves, which is actually kind of cool if you think about it. In my opinion, I like those things. I think that it's an opportunity to dig deeper into ourselves. I know both you and I meditate. That's part of what we do in the whole world of self exploration and meditation, anyway. So it's kind of cool.
And for me, so I have developed my own leadership philosophy, but have not made that transparent. That just takes it to the next step.
Yeah.
And this whole notion of really searching within and knowing what your values are and who you stand for, what you stand for, and why you're doing things makes you a lot more confident person, and your self-image is just more, it's stronger than ever. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I think it gives you a foundation um, upon which you're building your entire leadership base. But it also is really kind of why do I do what I do in general. I
Yep.
would say that even people who are not in leadership roles would benefit from defining what are my values and
Yep.
why do I do what I do. So yeah, absolutely. It takes away the second guessing. If you always fall back to your values, when you end up into, and it's always going to happen, especially in this complicated world where answers are not clearly evident.
No.
But if you're always value based, it gives you a foundation to fall back to and say, okay, which solution best supports the values for which I stand?
Right. And there's no, can you talk about any situation where you had to make a split decision, whether it's in a conflict, or maybe you're in a conference, or maybe you're in a meeting, and something has happened where you have to make that decision to respond to what's happening. And because you had this already under your belt, this leadership philosophy statement, these core values, that it was so much easier to respond in the way that was in alignment with who you are. I don't want to put you on the
So
spot.
yeah, well, it does a little bit, but the thing is I'm sitting here and running through my head, and I can think of several. One is the example I just gave of my director for quality, and it comes back to that's what I say that I will support, and I will support. The other is so honor is one of the values that is at the top of my list. That probably comes from the military, and that may not be evident to everybody, but I came from an academy, and our honor statement is I will not lie, cheat, steal, nor tolerate those who do. And so when there have been things that have come up where others would suggest that we don't want that to be public, I have a conflict with that because I feel that being truthful and being complete about it is very important. Being transparent to our public, being transparent to my team members, etc. So when there have been circumstances, and sometimes there are, where it may not be ready for prime time, I kind of wrestle with that a little bit, but I'm usually the team member who's kind of pushing to get information out as soon as we have enough information where it won't cause more confusion than it will understanding.
I love
If
that.
that makes sense, it's that those are kind of the circumstances that I find myself in. So,
And then you probably have, there's always going to be times when not everyone's going to agree with you. And, we feel uncomfortable as humans when there's conflict and somebody's coming against you. But when you stand for something and people know it and you're transparent about it, there's no question about why you did what you did.
yeah, absolutely, and I think that that's true, and that's the other. So I'm on the senior leadership team of the hospital, and all of my team members, including my boss, the CEO, also has a copy of my leadership philosophy, so they kind of know where I'm going to come from any position. You're right; they will generally know where my position is going to be initially. The other thing I'll say is, yeah, there's conflict. I always like saying that consensus is the enemy of progress. So if we're always going to agree, then we're not getting anywhere.
Yep. And you know what? I think as physicians in our culture, we're so used to, we understand in our minds and our intellect that things are going to change and, technology is going to get better, uh, that this is a changing world. But in general, I think the culture that we've come from, we're not so comfortable with change. We need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And when you have this, it's almost like a suit of armor by having this statement and really looking internally to what you stand for. When you go out in the world, whatever you deal with, personally, professionally, it's like there's no question, there's no hesitation, there's no indecision about what you're doing, and you really stand up as a leader.
I think that that's absolutely true. You're right. There's constant change, especially for providers, physicians who are moving maybe out. And these are people that you and I have talked to on a number of times. Is those physicians who may be moving farther away from a clinical role where things are, I think, a little bit more predictable, to leadership roles where you have to be um, comfortable in ambiguity, and that's not necessarily easy if you're used to kind of being the expert and seeing a clinical situation and saying this is the answer and this is what we're going to do. It's not that easy as you move out of the clinical role and you move into this area of leadership, trying to move organizations, because it is ambiguous. But again, having that basis upon which your values are built, having it written out. Now, does that mean every situation is encompassed in that leadership philosophy? No, it's not. But it is the principles upon which I'm going to be making my decisions.
And so this is a key skill, and I thank you so much for participating in lead physician and teaching. I wanted to step back. I mean, we all know that this is just one part of being a great leader, of one part of leading your life to the way that you should be living it. But there's so many other aspects of leadership, and you were there almost every single call that we had. We have about 16 to 17 um, Zoom live calls in addition to our 25 pre-recorded videos to make it easier for physicians to learn things that was not taught in medical school or
Not at all.
residency. We're basically spoon feeding our group what they need to know so that they can go out and do it. So I just want to get, and I haven't spoken to you on camera like this before, so feel free to be honest and transparent. I want to
Sure.
know what your experience was like going through the launch of Lead Physician.
Sure. So multifaceted. Took a lot of lessons away from it. Yes, I did participate in it. That was one of the things. Even though I kind of partnered with you, I wanted, and this is one of the things that I've always felt, is no matter how much leadership you've done in your life and how many experiences you have, there's always room to experience more, to learn more, and to grow more. And so this was something that I wanted to participate in. And so I found that to be really kind of key. But the the big experience was really kind of going through and I don't want to, spoiler alert, talk about everything that you taught along the way and in the class, but really understanding paradigms and thought processes that really hold you in one position or in one place, and being able to broaden your expectations of yourself almost. And there are some parts of your class where you're literally writing down, this is where I'm going to be and what I'm going to be doing, and that really sets the tone for your own expansion. Really visualizing or formalizing your own improvement, if you will. And I thought that that was really a great part of the components of the classes that we did. It's actually funny because there were parts of the pre-recorded things I would listen to on my way to work in the morning, and as I'm telling you about it, I'm like literally going through the drive-in of the coffee place for one of the points that you were making in one of the videos. I can actually see that morning as I'm driving through, as I was listening to the whole idea of paradigms and paradigm setting. So it's I thought that that was really, really interesting, and it was also, I think, beneficial to the class members that were there. And we've spoken to some of those team members since the class ended, and some of the impact that it had on them as well. So I think that it really, really strong. We've seen some successes already in some of the people that participated in that class. So
Yeah, it's funny how you bring that up. I just got off a call with one of the team members, and she told me that if it weren't for what she just went through and learning these concepts, she never would have stepped up for a new director's position. Never thinking that she was even prepared. She's new to the job. Why would they even think about her? But there's suddenly a position that's available that she said, you know what, I'm gonna just try. Why not?
yeah,
Why not try? So she put her name out there, and this is all happening after the course ended, and they called her and they said,
nice.
we're really interested in you.
That's
And so
awesome.
now she's going through the interview process and using all of these concepts that we spoke about, and some of the physician experts taught on negotiations and how to engage somebody, how to get them to understand what that you're the one who's the valuable person who's needed on their team. It just it just is so inspiring to see that. And
Yeah, it really is. And then when I said it was multifaceted in terms of my impression, that was the other component that I thought was really, really great. And almost every leadership class that I'm in, this is the case, and that is the members of the class themselves. We are, as clinicians, a group of experts and generally pretty smart people. And to put a group of really smart people together and be able to explore new ideas, new thought processes, ways that they have approached problems and solved them. To me, that's always rewarding, and so that's huge, uh, in my opinion. Now, I've always found that to be the case, especially when you're talking about things that are new concepts, that are new ideas, and the way that they see it and they philosophize about it and they talk about it. So I think that that was a big impact as well, is just the other people that were in the class and some of the experiences that they were having or had had, and how they had solved issues. It was really cool. That's one of the things, like I said, I've always enjoyed about gathering together a group of pretty intelligent people, and then hearing out their different positions, their different paradigms.
right, and when you hear about someone else's win, it just makes you realize, wow,
Yeah,
um, I didn't know about this, and I should have, and now I get it. And it's each one supporting each other, and being around like-minded people is so powerful. I
right.
just wanted to also tell you that it's not just about your work. It's not just about what position you're in. I had another client who said that her goal is to make sure that she has time and money freedom, and that she's a single mom with kids who wants to make sure that she builds her wealth. So, with the one-on-one calls that that we give. And you know, first of all, joining allows you to have automatically a one-on-one with me, but then there's also potential to have it with other physician experts, just like you, Bob. And I know you've gone one-on-one with other people to help them before they interview for a job position. But that's
Right.
her goal. So she's already moving towards that. She's already doing things that she's never done before in research and investment, and looking into real estate, and finding opportunities on tax savings. It's tremendous. And another person said to me, Elsie, I never thought of myself as the CMO, but now I realize that's what I want. You know, so like she
Nice.
never thought of herself as being in that position, but now that's what she's striving for. So I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, it's and you know, that's it's rewarding as well to see the success of those folks. And I would agree. And yeah, I think I allude to that in the book as well when I talk about values and developing your leadership philosophy, that it crosses over into your personal life.
Yeah,
It's way more than you're just what you do on a professional basis. Absolutely true.
yeah. And you know, I see it when you talk about how you're leading your organization through COVID and all the setbacks that you've had, and how they respond to you, and the things that they say to you, Bob, just shows me how much they trust you, and they respect you, and they say, you know what, Bob, you handle that. We know that you're going to be doing a good job. Please do what you need to do, and don't worry about us. You know, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. If you'll indulge in I got a text. So, a physician that I've worked with in more than one location, one of our colleagues from the last facility that we worked at together died of COVID.
Oh,
And he texted me, he said, "Did you hear that Dr. So and so had died of COVID?" And I said, "Yeah, I had heard." And he says, "It just makes me happy that you're helping to lead the COVID effort here." And I was like, wow, that is it almost brought tears to my eyes that somebody would
it's
say that.
really
So,
amazing. Bob,
yeah.
you're an amazing person. I feel very grateful to have you on my team. And I think we have a great group. So part of the reason why we are on Facebook on live is that I want you guys to know that if you have an inkling that this is something that you need for the new year and to get started, don't hesitate and do this. You know, successful people makes decisions like firmly. They know what they want. If you have that feeling, if you have that intuition, then just sign up. Before December 15th, we do have an early bird special that can really profoundly help you even more by allowing more one-on-one calls. And if you just, I'll put a link, but just click on the button and you'll be able to have 3 one-on-one calls instead of just one after December 15th. And you'll also be able to have a significant discount, so a value of over $1,200 just by making that decision early. Now, it's not going to start until January 26th. So the fact that you're starting early, you'll have automatic access to all the videos that have been pre-recorded that Bob's talking about, that you can easily listen to while you're driving to work, like he says. Right, Bob? Is that what you listen
Yes.
to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So it's if you've got any kind of commute, I loaded the lessons on my portable device and listened to it on the way to and from work.
right. And just to give you, so Tuesday night, I'm going to be doing the last of the series of free webinars. If you sign up for it, again, the link will be placed below. If you sign up for it, we'll be talking more in depth, and I'll be sharing my screen to show you what it looks like. So if you're curious and you want to see exactly what those videos look like, and you want to know more of the logistics, you know, it's a 4-month program, but it doesn't require you more than, you know, putting about 15 minutes. If you have 15 minutes in your day to really make a jump start in your life, this is going to be the best 15 minutes that you're going to be investing in yourself. Once a week, we'll have live Zoom calls, though. Those are 1 hour, and they will be with physicians just like Bob. Bob's going to be teaching about this leadership philosophy statement and how to your core values and how to make it happen, how he's engaged his physician and the healthcare professionals in his community to really respect him and trust him in the way that he's aligning them. So thank you so much, Bob, for being here. Do you have any last words of wisdom for
No,
us?
thanks for having me on. It's trying times, certainly for everybody that's in the healthcare world. I think for our nation as a whole, globally even. But that's when leadership counts the most. And so, this is a great venue. The class is in terms of how to develop yourself, and so I strongly support it. And I'm glad to be part of the team.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
will we'll put a link below. Just give me some time today, and I will allow you guys to take a look, and you can sign up to talk with me. You could talk with Bob. You could talk with other clients if you want to hear testimonials. Um, I have clients right now who from the previous course writing testimonials and doing video testimonials for me. So that takes some time. So don't wait, and I hope you join us.